really popular in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, that's right.
Kazakhstan. Let's go.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. Boom! I actually, Chris Stone, feel sorry for these poor people that are watching this today, because I'm like, usually it's a 2:00 thing that we do in the afternoon, but like in the morning is where I'm just like jacked up. And you know what? I think, I guess I'm in the mood to talk right now. I think, it's something special. I'm following this thing, where every night I go to bed, before I go to sleep, I just say thank you. I just love that. And you say thank you, and then
attitude of gratitude, baby. Yeah.
What am I thankful for? And you kind of find things, and so you kind of fall asleep with that gratitude thing. And then you do the same thing when you wake up in the morning. But what I found out is, you actually want to wake up. So you wake up and you're like, oh, and my God. No, you just like want to wake up. So this morning was especially important for me to wake up.
Oh, yeah?
Because I thought to myself, I'm going to get Chris Stone in the morning while I'm still, rocking and rolling prior to eating. By the way, eating slows you down.
You haven't even eaten yet? That's how important this show is. That's how ladies and gentlemen, if you're too chicken to chime in and get Dan Jourdan earlier than he normally is on an empty stomach, no less. This is going to be unprecited.
What do you, when is your first meal? What time do you eat your first meal? Because
I get up and eat as soon as I got it. It's part of my, I got it, because I want to break the fast.
The fast.
It's breakfast.
That's
right. So I want to break the fast. People don't realize that that's where that word, comes from. Break the fast.
Yeah, I know, but you could eat so you could eat breakfast at any time if you you could break the fast at any time. So that and that is one of those things that time we talked about earlier is somewhat relative. I went to a somebody that I knew on LinkedIn was going to be in town. And so he knows I live, in the Atlanta area. And so he says, hey, I'm going to be doing this thing. And he pinged me as well as several other people to go to this event. So I went to this event and I saw people that I've only known virtually. And now we're like, buddies already. And so that's just, here, but that happens all over the world. So people in different continents, and you can do business with people in different continents. And it's just as close as this, which is exactly what we have today. Every once in a while, you run into people that you just jibe with almost immediately, and it doesn't matter where they live in the world. And so we have that opportunity today with two, quite possibly the nicest people you would have never met had it not been for this beautiful thing that we have with, kind of be able to outsource different things and, Dan Jourdan Live. I mean, we wouldn't have had this without you, Chris Stone. And so I
bringing together the world on Dan Jourdan Live. That's what we do.
And so with that said, without any further ado, I need you all to meet my new friends who are here to change the world. Temidayo and Ernesto.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is some US early morning energy right there. We get the afternoon energy in the morning here. Again, we deliver the value, Dan.
Isn't that great? They look as if they're right here with us, but Ernesto, which I love saying your name. I'm sorry. I apologize. But so where are you right now?
I'm in Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
Is that
It's
not the coolest thing?
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just before you go to ask.
Look at that. And Temidayo, where are you emanating that radiant smile from?
Wow, thanks, Dan. I'm actually calling from Lagos, Nigeria, and it's about 3 o'clock here.
Isn't that just
good afternoon to you both? Amazing. Welcome to the show. Podcast pros, we found out in the green room. We have professional podcasters. Finally, Dan, you finally get
I finally
thousands of podcasts.
So Temidayo, so you said you do have a podcast, and what do you speak about on your podcast?
Okay, the central theme of my talk is usually purpose, leadership, and I've done that for a few years now. And yeah, it's been quite interesting being able to talk to young people about discovering who they are, helping them to connect with their identity, discover their interests, especially in the line of career. So that's like my major specialization, career growth. And yeah, I've done that for about 2 years or 3.
Yeah, I find that so encouraging because there's a huge kind of leadership community here in the U.S. That type of those skills are needed, absolutely everywhere. When you're doing this, is it the same? Like, where are you finding the people that are attracted to your program? Are they just, people out and about in their career, or is it something that you obviously have to, advertise and recruit for?
As a matter of fact, people come to me a lot, especially young Africans, mostly for my network from where I used to work formerly, students, fresh graduates. When some see my post on LinkedIn, and then they come to me for advice or say that they have this question, or they're trying to make a decision about their career, or trying to understand their identity or their purpose. And then once in a while, I organize like a podcast like this, where I bring people live and, we talk about it, or I do a one-on-one session, like a coaching kind of session with them, and we discuss. So I think people majorly get attracted to me by the content that I release on social media. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. So it works everywhere. And these people, and I want to bring Ernesto into this for a second. So Ernesto, these leaders that are being developed by Temidayo, obviously they're doing it because they want to work in a certain field. Are you helping them get jobs in those fields? Tell me what Tunga does.
Yes. So Tunga is a staff augmentation firm that works exclusively with talent from Africa, software developers, and we find jobs for them in mostly Northern Europe and the US and Canada.
Now, do you develop these, or is there a big software, development community there in Africa? Is that why you went there, or was there another purpose?
Well, I went there because I found that Africa was still relatively undiscovered. I've been working in the fair trade sector before, and we were doing a lot of effort to get to create jobs for Africans through the fair trade principles. But it was mostly low-skilled labor and also low-paid labor. And at one point, I just recognized, like, hey, we're all looking for software developers. We struggle to find and retain them in our local markets. What if we could cultivate the software development sector in Africa, grow talent there, and create jobs for them? And then we have high-paid jobs, international work, intelligent work, overall modern, attractive work for young Africans. And so that's what became our mission. And that's what we do. So there are like 700,000 developers in the entire African continent, software developers. And we have a pool ourselves of 2,500 developers who are all vetted. So this is basically the top of that market. And we mediate them to international companies that struggle to find talent in their own market. And where necessary and possible, we try to help them get education, work on their skills, including not only technical skills, but also leadership skills. So yeah, that's what we do.
How many developers did you say?
700,000.
On the African continent, there are 700,000 developers, according to research by Google and Accenture. And we have a pool of 2,500 developers divided over 20 countries.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so you rock and roll. But I think so the issue with developers, the issue with the industry of developers, I want to talk about an individual segment of population, is that yes, technically sound. People can do anything you ask them to do. But Temidayo, what you were saying about leadership, I think is so important, because ultimately, people really don't really know what they want. They need to kind of talk it out, what the outcomes is that they want. So in that leadership training is one of the skills that your people have, is they're able to think through a process and kind of question somebody else's desire to say, hey, you don't really want that. You want it this way, and here's why. Is that part of what you teach them?
Yes, basically. The interesting thing about Africa is that there's a lot of potential, but opportunities are quite limited. So most of the time, young people tend to limit themselves within the purview of the opportunities that they've been exposed to, while there is more out there globally. And that's what makes Tunga quite interesting. The fact that it bridges the gap between the global landscape and the local communities here in Africa. So what I do is help people to discover their core interest within the context of the global view, saying that your potentials are not limited to Africa. They're not limited to your local community or the kind of education that you've been able to get here. You actually have opportunities across the world, and you have access to everything. So just expand your mind, see beyond where you are, and you'll be able to actually find where you fit into. So that's one thing that most people find difficult, finding where they fit into, and talking with them, working through it, using different resources to help them discover by understanding their personalities, their interests, and then interpreting that within the context of the available opportunities globally just helps them to find their own niche, and they begin to blossom from there.
Wow, wonderful. So you're helping companies and the world by helping individuals understand that there is a world out there to help them. That's terrific. Who was your inspiration? How did you get started in this type of world?
Well, I've had several mentors over time, starting with my father. So, and as I grew older and got to know more people, at some point I followed John Maxwell, and then locally I had my mentor, who was my former employer, still my mentor till today, David, and then a couple of leaders as well. You might not know some of them because they are mostly Africans, so.
Well,
but those
say their
people
names.
actually helped me. Oh, okay. I do have Debola Dejekurumi, Jumoke Adeno, who is like the best female architects in Africa. So those are the people that I see who are actually working every day to transform the African landscape, who believe in the people and are giving their best every single time. So they inspired me to discover myself first, and then help others to do the same as well. So as I started to move on, I started to expand. Yeah. And currently Ernesto is also a key mentor for me. Yeah. So that's
I mean, that's great. I think that's great, Ernesto, how when you say it's an untapped market, so there could be people could think they're so big in their community, or they are, and they're big contributors, but like those names that you just said, Temidayo, I have no idea about anything. And so there's so much more out there to do. So Ernesto, how do you share the message, or who's a perfect client for you? For Tunga, who can really benefit from, both saving or helping Africa and Africans grow in the world community, and also helping their companies.
Cool. Well, most of our clients, they are B2B SaaS companies. So SaaS stands for software as a service. So it's basically companies that have built a software product and exploit it online. They're usually a little bit smaller companies, let's say between 5 and 100 employees. And they are at the start of a strong growth, or they're already in strong growth, and they need to get their software development team in order, but they struggle to find and or retain talent in the local market. So that's typically our client. And as I said, they're divided over, I think in total 12 countries, mostly Northern Europe, US and Canada. We try to, basically, the way we convince our clients to do business with us, it's not so much to say, oh, you have to help Africans or something like that. We just want we just want to provide a good service and a good match. And in that sense, both the paying clients, so to speak, and the developers, they're both clients for us. And we try to serve them in the best possible way, just to make the best possible match. So that both are happy with the deal, and in the process, we're trying to reach our mission, which is to basically unleash Africa's tech talent.
How much of what you do is selling flexibility as opposed to price? Because I think a lot of people, especially like US-based people that are looking to outsource ex-US, they think about affordability first and foremost, and so there's that thinking where, okay, I may be paying less and I might be getting just as good a work, or maybe not as good, but I only have this amount of budget. But I know that there's other things that we're talking about, like we're talking about value. What about flexibility? Is that another key component to what Tunga's offering?
Well, great question. So first of all, just to be sure, so outsourcing is not technically what we do, because we provide staff, and so we were a staffing firm. And with outsourcing, basically, we would take the responsibility to run a project or something like that. And that's not what we do. So we just provide the people, and the people are being managed by the company themselves. Great. And we just take care of all the administrative hassle, so to speak. But that on the side. The main concern for all of our clients, the main three concerns are quality, quality, and quality. So with us, it's why they buy is mainly access to the talent that they cannot get somewhere else, or they struggle to do it. It's not easy for them. And price is, of course, attractive. We have affordable rates, but I think our clients, generally speaking, would be happy to pay 50% more if they would get a guarantee that the quality is good, right?
There it is, yeah.
And flexibility is also important, but it's more in terms of that we are able to move very fast. So we can onboard a team very quickly, low hassle, very smooth process. Those are the most important factors.
I love this. By the way, I went and got my book, because when we're done here, I have a referral for you. That fit your exact thing.
Now we get his arms in the air. Okay,
that's it. See, you know what? That's why I think sales is the noblest profession, because you know what it provides? Hope. I've given nothing. I said a few words, and all of a sudden his heart rate went up because there was something to gain. It's hope. What a great business to be in, and gosh, that's good. But what you said, with the staffing that you do with these people, when you said you take care of the administrative issues, why don't you share with people what those administrative issues are in terms of payroll tax and things like that?
Temidayo, you want to take this one?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I can.
Do you provide sick leave and pay and medical stuff, and who's the employer of record type of thing?
Well, Tunga has been able to position itself as the middleman and the matchmaker. So first of all, where we start from in terms of HR or human resource, providing human resource to companies, is that we find the perfect match or the best match. So let me not overshoot. We find the best match. So we closely examine the personality, the behavior, the communication skills, the technical skills of the developer or of the talent, and examine the company themselves, look at their requirements, look at their company culture, and all of those factors. And then we see, okay, does this talent, does this developer fit into this company in terms of both the role itself and the company culture. And if we find a fit, then we match them together. So that's where we actually start from in terms of providing excellent administrative services. We try as much as possible to have the best match that is possible. And then from there onwards, we provide support to both sides. So this is something that normally a company might have an HR setup, for all of that, but they do not actually have to do that anymore at that point. So provide support for the talent or the developer, and as well as support for the company as well. Meaning that everything relating to performance, everything relating to payments are provided, everything relating to ensuring that the talent who is working remotely from Africa, mind you, is able to perfectly provide his services or fulfill his requirements. So things like ensuring that he has access to internet, power, is able to attend meetings, is able to fulfill all his tasks at when due, and ensuring that if there are potentially any issues that will prevent him from actually fulfilling that, we are able to mitigate very quickly. And also, because we have staff on ground in Africa, it helps a whole lot, because we have people who understand the landscape, who understand any potential problems or risk attached to working from Africa, as some people might think. So we have people right there, mitigating all of that, being able to just ensure that all of those potential issues are being addressed before they escalate. So basically, we ensure that there's support for both client and developer. We ensure that things like payrolling is taken care of. We ensure that there is performance monitoring along the process, and everybody has a good experience all through.
So one of the problems or challenges that one would think about is, especially in this remote world that we live in, we've had instances where people have 2 and 3 jobs, maybe not working, 100% on our project here. Are your people working remotely by themselves, or is it a type of a co-working environment?
Well,
oh, sorry. Okay, Ernesto.
Well, the way we work is that we can cater for any wish that you would have as a company, right? So most of our clients don't really care. So they just say the developer can work where they want. And then sometimes they work from home. Sometimes they work in a co-working setup. We also have clients who've asked us to set up an office where the team works together in a physical office. So for us, that's all the same. And that counts for all these administrative services. We set it up the way you like it best as a client. We can advise you, but we're flexible in that sense. So, yeah. Sorry.
No. I think that's wonderful. So this is real. It's basically what you're saying is, don't lower my standards. I'm hiring an employee who just happens to live overseas.
Yeah. And with regards to working 2 jobs or not being focused enough or something like that. So we have agreements with how we want to work with the developers, right? So it's but we also monitor the relationship. How's it going? And let's say not everything is always going perfect, as with any employer-employee relationship. But we like to be on top of things and also to find issues early. So that's why we have regular check-in calls with both the developer and the client to see how everything is going. And as soon as we detect, hey, something is not going according to plan, then we want to be there, because then it still can be fixed and not wait until stuff has gone awry, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And then for the employer who you're working with, are they paying? Is it a payroll expense for them, or is it just a regular business expense, and you guys are handling all the taxes and all that stuff?
The second one. So the client just gets an invoice from us, and they can, let's say, the person is added to their team, the developer is added to their team, so they can work with them, and we have to contract with the developer and take care of all the other stuff.
Okay, so for me, it's just easy. Here's my task that I want to get done. Hourly fee. See you later, potato. And we bank on results. This is great. I have to tell you both. This is an unusual experience with interviewing both of you here. You are like true professionals. I gotta say. I mean, you're. By the way, Temidayo, your expertise of the language is. I could listen to you all day long. It's great with your accent and smiling. But both of you are also looking into the camera, which is like a real professional thing there, And I say this for a reason, because I imagine this is when you're on calls with prospects to share your stuff. A lot of times business owners are making decisions, yes, on the talent, on the product and all that, but also by the leadership within the companies. And, you're exactly the type of people that I would want to work with like that. And I guess the question is, are there certain companies that you don't want to work with, that it's not a good match, and you share that? Like, I get the feeling that you take on customers where you could succeed, and if it's not going to be a big winner, you just don't do it. I guess that that would be directed
when you start a new business, then every contract is the most important thing in the world, right? So you don't have a lot of luxury, and that's why the most shit happens also when you're just starting up, because you take on clients that in hindsight you knew probably would have been best to not do it. Right now, next year we exist for 10 years, so we are a mature company, and we have the luxury of being able to say no to clients whenever we think it's not going to be a success, and we have a lot of experience. So by now we can tell probably when something is going to be a success or not. We've met a lot of cowboys, so to speak, our main concern is the developer's interest. Yeah, so if the developer gives their trust to me that we place them with a company, then we want to make sure that the company is going to treat them well, and it's a good deal also for a developer, right? So if we feel that we cannot, if we don't feel comfortable about that, because we always in the sales phase, we always check, does the client know what they're doing? Do they need our support? Because we also offer support, how to best set it up, remote work, if it's your first time as a company that you do it. But if we feel that the client's not up to it, then we are happy to say no.
I love that. This is a real company. So tell me, a lot of people that watch this and do this, they have, they're starting their own businesses. If you have a story about you said, at the beginning, the most problems happen or some successes happen. If you have to share with me one of your greatest successes, maybe Temidayo, this as well, or whoever wants to jump in, share with us a good story.
I think Ernesto should take this one.
That's quite a random question. Tell me a good story.
Tell me a good story about a client.
Yeah, I can tell you a story. When we started out, my first idea was to create like a marketplace website. So the idea was, we have micro tasks or mini tasks. You have a backlog of software tasks that you need done in GitHub, for example. And on the other side, we have developers, and we can just match it really easily. And then we started testing whether that would work in practice, and I found out quickly this is not going to work. So then we had to pivot, and we said, okay, let's do outsourcing. So then we did project outsourcing ourselves for about 2 to 3 years, and we got traction, but not enough traction. So we were growing and we were doing revenue, but we were not profitable. And I was just chipping in all my own money at one point. So and not only my money, also my co-entrepreneur. And so then we sat together, and at one point we said, okay, 3 months from now we have to break even, otherwise we pull the plug. And this was after 3 years, right? So
wow.
Now at one point when a company is successful, because we've started telling these stories to new hires for them to know, because the first time we told them, they were like, I didn't realize this stuff would happen, because it's, once the company is through the valley of death, so to speak, it seems also logical that you arrived where you are. But there was quite some moments that it was tricky whether we would make it or not. Yes. And then we said, 3 months from now, we need to be break even, otherwise we pull the plug. And lo and behold, halfway the 3 months, 2 or 3 big projects come our way. I cannot say that we did anything special to get them, because we just did the same stuff that we were doing before. Maybe it was just being around long enough that at one point people recognize your name. And those projects, like divine intervention, kept us afloat. And I think it was about the next year that we realized, hey, there's much more potential in the staffing proposition than in the outsourcing proposition. So then we phased out outsourcing and we decided to focus on staffing, and that's where we really took off really quickly. We had, for years on end, we had 100% growth. And the first year is not super interesting to have 100% growth from $100 to $200, but at one point that becomes very interesting. And that's a little bit. And I think the morale of the story here is that it's hard work. Success is not guaranteed, right? But stay the course. And
and you thought that was a random question. That was the money story right there. That's the way. Well, and because what it is years ago, I took a hitchhiking trip around the country here. It's more common in Europe, but here it's not that often. So I went for 8 months, took no money, got jobs along the way. And very early, I learned that there's a very fine line between a hitchhiker and just a bum on the side of the street with his thumb hanging out. And so the thing is, you got to get picked up to be a hitchhiker, otherwise you're just there on the side of the road. And so I learned what you learned from that, is that if you have to be in the right place at the right time. And it turns out there's a way to actually do that. And that's why you were seeing the divine intervention, those 2 clients. For hitchhiking, the right place is on the on-ramp. Never while they're driving 80 miles an hour. You got to stay on the on-ramp. And you walk up the on-ramp, and if you get to the end and nobody picks you up, what do you think you need to do? Go back down. So, and start all over again. So if you want to be in the right place at the right time, go to the right place and stay there. Eventually the time will catch up to you. And that's exactly what happened to you.
Even a broken clock is right 2 times per day, right?
Exactly. But you were there in front of the clock to see it, and what happened. And that's the biggest lesson from people, because there's always a shiny new object. There's always something else to change. So when you say stay the course, that means something. And Temidayo, that means something on a project also. There are some times that your people there, I'm sure you send them out and things aren't going well on the project. Do you ever coach people while they're on the job too? Or is this once they're there, you're done with them?
Do you mean in the context of Tunga?
Yes, in context of Tunga. Well, yes.
As I said earlier,
everything here is in context of Tunga. My life revolves around Tunga.
Yeah. I mean, as I said earlier, we are with them every step of the way, both the client and the developer. So we actually have people who are dedicated to ensuring that each party has an amazing experience. So we don't just put them on the job and then, back off. Every time we have check-ins with both the client and the developer, say like bi-weekly, with the developer, I think even weekly. And so we are able to interact constantly, get to know their wins, get to know their challenges, and we are able to solve problems along the way. So yeah, rarely do we have an issue that comes as a surprise, to be honest, because we are always with them. In fact, with the developers, for one, we organize meetups where we get to interact with them physically, have fun, because remote work could be quite isolating, right? So we set up an avenue for them to socialize both with each other, with the staff, with their friends. So it's like a community that we've just built around the Tunga business. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Because I know nothing about life in Nigeria or around there. What is, when you say when people gather together, are they like big events? What's a weekend little event in Nigeria like?
Typically,
what kind of food am I eating? What kind of food am I eating?
Jollof rice, I think, because in Nigeria on a typical weekend you find a lot of people going to what we call Owambe. So Owambe could put on their traditional clothes, and it could be a wedding, it could be a burial ceremony, it could be a birthday, but it's always loud, always big, a lot of music, lots of food, and it's just all around fun. But our major dish is jollof rice. I'm sure you might have heard about it.
Did you say Jello fries?
No,
jollof rice. Yes.
Jollo fries?
Yes.
It's rice. It's jollof rice.
Jollof rice. How do we spell jollof rice?
JOLLOF.
Yeah. So
try it sometime.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, we've got a recipe here. We're gonna pull this up.
So Ernesto, do you travel there much?
I have traveled a lot there to various African countries. So we have offices in Nigeria and in Uganda, and we also have a small office in Kenya. So I travel there quite a lot, but increasingly less because the team is so well organized there. It's all sort of managing. So it's less necessary, but I try to come there at least, let's say 4 times per year. Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. And you got to come to. Do you come to America at all? When's the next time you can be in the US?
I was in New York in April. Really liked it. And my next plan is to go to combine Florida and Nashville in October. But I might just stop in Atlanta, do a stopover.
That's right. It's halfway in between.
It's halfway.
If you're driving up, we'll make sure. Yeah, we got an event there.
When you drive through Atlanta, Ernesto, you have to leave 4 hours of time because the traffic in Atlanta is brutal. Just terrible traffic. So just so you know.
But then when you can survive Lagos traffic.
Oh, is that bad?
You can survive. I think it's. I love Lagos and Nigeria. No harm done here, but it's the worst traffic I think you meet anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Is it with those little motorbikes? Does everybody have those?
No, they have actually abolished those within certain city limits. But there's also no subway or something like else. There's a lot of water, so from island to island. So there's a lot of bottlenecks. It's just you can easily stand still for 4 hours there on the same spot.
Oh gosh, okay, so you'll love it in Atlanta. It'll be great. We'll make a trip.
It will be like home.
Dan doesn't like to stand still for 4 minutes. Well, so 4 hours.
We'll see. We'll talk about that. Maybe I could hook you up with some companies here just to stop in and visit and say hi. Just for some opportunities. We'll play around with that. But you got to bring some fufu or jello rice or something, or jollof rice or whatever. That would be a great. By the way, that's a great thing when you get a new client. You ought to send them a little, gift pack of traditional
Jollof
Nigerian
rice.
food. Yeah,
But I am
Jollofs.
100% sure you can find
yes.
Nigerian food in any major US city.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
And next time we
big,
go to lunch, we'll have jollof
big
rice.
with
But
big
I'm
with
warning you,
lamb too.
it can be very spicy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is big
Get ready.
spicy. All right, so spicy. Let's say I'm a customer that wants to get a hold of you and wants to start doing business, or at least find out about using the workers from Nigeria and from Kenya and from Africa for my development. What's the onboarding process like? What's our first interaction like? Maybe whoever wants to take this. Chris, if you want to take it, go ahead.
Now it's very straightforward. So if you would be interested to use our services, you have an introductory call with a salesperson who will just try to understand your needs and see whether it's possible for us to help you. If the outcome of that call is that we can help you and you're interested, then what we need basically is to get a profile of what is the type of person that you're looking for, what is their talent profile. Then we present you with a short list of candidates. You can pick with whomever from the short list you want to do interviews, and then from there it's just a regular recruitment process. And once you've decided, okay, that's the person I want to work with, then it's okay signing the contract, and then we have an onboarding process where we make sure that everything is set up both in terms of hardware and software, and also in terms of processes. So we stay involved really intensively in the first weeks just to make sure that the start is smooth, and then afterwards it's just people, even if you're not used to working with remote workers, you get used to it so quickly.
Yeah, that's great. And how quickly? Let's say we're in a rush. We need six guys pretty quickly. How quickly can this thing, or gals? I shouldn't say that, but yeah, that's a question I'll ask after. But how long would that take?
6 guys or girls would take, I would say, anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks.
Okay, yeah,
but
that's good.
We can go very fast, but usually the clients have their own decision-making process, right? So the throughput time usually depends more on how fast the client can act than how fast we can act.
Right. So you're presenting the candidates to the clients, and then they're making decisions from there, and that may slow down the process depending on how
because
long
usually we can come up with candidates within 48 to 72 hours. Sometimes faster, but let's say 48 to 72 hours, so 2 to 3 days, and then it's a matter of planning interviews, going back and forth, and signing the deal. So it can be done very quickly, and usually the talent is also available immediately. So.
And obviously there's a lot of changes going on in the development world with the new, the learning, the AI learning programs that are out there and all this stuff. Are your people being constantly, recertified and things like that? Or are there certifications or training that go on?
We have our own Tunga Academy, so we have constantly programs running where people can work on their skills. But I also have to say, for example, with AI, the demand for developers actually programming AI or large language models is not so big, right? It's more that the client wants them to be familiar with AI technologies, know how it works, know how to use AI, writing code, etc. And that's what we try to facilitate as much as possible. So we had, for example, last fall, we had a hackathon around AI. That's how we promote the technology within our own developer community.
Would you call it a hackathon?
A hackathon,
Oh,
I've
heard of it. No, I've heard of it, but I've never.
It's kind of like a Deejathon for hackers.
Yeah, I know. We're going to do a Deejathon. It's actually I am going to put a Deej X on. Enough of these TEDx things. We're going to have Deej X's. What is I just spat out earlier about I need 6 guys or girls. Is there are more women getting involved in development, or is it is the industry, mostly male or maybe not mostly female? Is there a split up in there? Temidayo?
I would say it's mostly male, which is not too strange. Of course, there are several initiatives that are being done, by several platforms to sensitize women and bring them into the space. But of course, women are less inclined naturally to go into software development. But I think it's actually on the increase from what I've seen so far. Several platforms providing training to women to get involved in the software industry. But as at now, it's still a largely male-dominated area. So, but it's growing.
Okay,
Yeah, I can give you some numbers.
Give me some numbers.
Worldwide, it's 17% is female software developers.
Really?
Yeah. In Africa, Northern Africa, it's about 7 to 8%. Sub-Saharan Africa, it's 1.5 to 2%. So it's really low compared to worldwide. And there's a lot of programs going on, and we've ran some women in tech courses. So it's, let's say, women only courses to train them as software developer. But it takes time, right? So if you decide today you want more women into tech, it takes at least like 5 years before the first qualified media developers basically would enter the market, right? So it's not so easy. But I do see that there's a lot of attention for it, and I would expect this percentage to go up also in sub-Saharan Africa in the coming years significantly.
That's exciting. You're making Tunga's actually making a difference in Africa. That's an entire continent. That's huge. So talk to me as an ignorant American about the rest of the world. That's pretty much how we are. Or I'll speak for myself. Tell me about Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Yeah. What do you want to know?
Tell me about the Netherlands. Tell me about Rotterdam. Tell me what's going on there.
Okay. So Netherlands is a very small country, and in the west of the Netherlands we have 4 main cities: Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. And I would say that the average American would say that's all the same city. But for us, it's 4 different cities. And that's where most of the Dutch people live. So it's a little bit in that sense like Singapore, like a city state. When you drive 1 hour in either direction, you're either in Belgium or in Germany from where we are. Amsterdam is really popular because it's a very old city with the canals and the houses, and it's like you're walking into in an open air museum, so to speak. I would say it has been a little bit spoiled by tourism over the past 10 to 15 years. And I myself am in Rotterdam, and in Rotterdam the people, they're like, yeah, Amsterdam is for partying and Rotterdam is for working, right? So we're serious people.
Look at that.
But Rotterdam is a great city because it has the best skyline of all the cities in the Netherlands, and that's because in the Second World War it got bombarded to the smithereens. So there's a lot of modern architecture here. It's one of the largest ports in Europe. Come to the Netherlands. It's nice.
Yes, I love. Well, the thing is, it's a very difficult language. Dutch, which you speak like
Dan. In every country, this means the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Everything. That's right. You know what? I've told this story before, but there are certain things that really connect the whole planet. And I just have a affinity to classical music, and I remember one day I'm listening, and I'm like, it was just I don't even remember, but it was a particular emotion, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like brought to tears, and I'm thinking to myself, on the other side of the world, with someone who doesn't even speak my language, who I would never meet, is probably listening to the same thing and having the same effect. And there is, some sort of connection with everybody with all those things. And it's very similar to the Sales Energizer. So thank you, Chris Stone. Well, so this is great. So if it's for someone to get a hold of, if you could just paraphrase a reason why, what would trigger in my world as a business owner or a tech VP or something like that, would trigger in my world that I think, hey, you know what, maybe I need to give a Tunga a call. What would be happening in my world to say that you'd be a perfect solution for?
Well, you know that you have to invest in your product, which is a software product, but you don't have the people ready. So you realize I have to either build a team or expand my team. That's already a good moment. When you find that in your local market, you don't get the candidates that you want when you put a vacancy, for example, or that you have good people, but they leave very quickly because they can get a better offer somewhere else. When you're fed up with that kind of dynamic, we can offer very stable and long-term supply of developers for your team. And like I said, they're qualitatively on par with what you want and need, and the rates are good, and generally speaking, very nice people who are very eager to work and to perform and to get ahead in life. So,
well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate both of you coming on here and playing with us for an hour. Do you have any other final comments, Temidayo? I just like saying your name. You just want to say, I just wanted to see the smile. So that was good. I think both of you personify. I always tell people with their business that there's 4 beliefs that you have to have. First is the belief in your company. The second is the belief in your product. The third is the belief in yourself. But fourth, the most important one, it's kind of the glue that holds it together, is the belief, not just like the knowing or thinking of it, is the belief that your prospect or client is better off getting this product and service from your company and from you personally than from anyone else. And I think you guys just exude that with your company and with your product. And if someone needs this service and doesn't at least contact you to talk to you, I believe they're making a mistake. What do you think, Chris Stone?
I think you're spot on, and it's wonderful to put a couple of faces to the company, and that's why we do this thing. And I think we hope that a lot of people are feeling that energy that Temidayo and Ernesto are bringing in, because it's clear that they're passionate about Tunga. And hit them up, tunga.io, and they're on LinkedIn, both of them personally on LinkedIn. Thousands of followers already. You guys are like rock stars on LinkedIn. We're doing the research here. Facebook and Instagram at tunga.io. Definitely a great company to check out. Definitely go get them.
All right. And I thank you, Chris Stone, once again, world's best. Is he not awesome, guys? I tell you, is he not awesome the way he does? He gets it going. And for all you watching there, I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your lives. Eat well, live long, and prosper. Go get them today.